I go to have business meetings in Korea or China and Japan, and they see chairman, and then they see your card, and then it's like what? Especially an Indian woman at boot, they're like what? So I think it's nice to sort of change gender roles. Yeah.
But I want to understand from you what you see as the advantages of being a woman in business.
Of course, there's money. Money brings you a lot of things. If you come from money already and finances are not your primary reason for being an entrepreneur, I think a very important aspect is respect and power. A lot of people would tell my salesmen, and this is literally the sales guys who are with me still today, and they're like, देखो आपका product अच्छा है, brand अच्छा है, features भी customers को जमता है, मगर आपकी boss है तो मारवाड़ी, तो शादी हो जाएगा, जब company बंद हो जाएगा हमको spare parts नहीं मिलेगा. And this was unanimously across the country.
So once in a while, I get to have a conversation with a woman who's achieved so much that I get really excited. Today is one of those days. I have the good fortune of sitting down with Devita Saraf, who is the chairman and CEO at View Televisions. I love that. I said chairperson, you said no, I'm the chairman. Tell me why.
Because what happens is when I see the word chairperson, it's very often used for women who are heading a trust or an NGO attached to a larger business. Whereas if you see in Far East especially, a chairman is considered the ultimate top boss. So I have a great time when I go to have business meetings in Korea or China and Japan, and they see chairman, and then they see your card, and then it's like what? Especially an Indian woman at boot, they're like what? So I think it's nice to sort of change gender roles by putting it in a position of power with a young Indian face.
Yes, but whenever someone says you are the queen of something or the other, I say, why can't I be the king?
Exactly.
I want to be the king. So, but I want to just roll back for a second, because obviously you're doing some amazing work right now. But the idea of building flat screen TVs, which is what they were back then, in India, where did that come from?
I mean, it's been a long story, Faye. I grew up in a family business of tech.
Yeah.
But as you have the women that I grew up in South Bombay, they don't really get into the family business. And I think from a young age, I was very fortunate to have very woke parents who treated me and my brother the same. So from a young age, I saw the IT industry, tech industry, etc. And aspired, first of all, to be a boss and, be in business, which at that time was not something most of my peers were doing. So I went abroad, came back, joined the family business of technology. And that's when I saw the second anomaly opportunity, was that, people tend to see Indian-owned brands as like the low-cost player, the affordable one, etc., bottom of the pyramid. And I said, why is it all these foreign companies seem to be having a cult brand that people love, and they've got the most high-end products? So I did a lot of research, how do I do a luxury tech brand? And there's a huge opportunity that came in where they said that display is going to be the next paper. And this is like 15, 16 years back, where they said, there was a line that someone said, the glass will rule. They're like, in the future, all paper will become glass. All your information that you're seeing or reading
on
is
some
becoming
level
on
that's
screens.
true.
And that's exactly what happened. So I think at View, we were quick to catch that opportunity that we can do high-end and do high-end in what the future is going to be. Today, we're all screen agers, right?
Yes.
Like everything appearing on a screen, we're so used to. But back when we started, it was just a bet on the future. And that's how we got into doing large size, high-end TVs.
So I just want to take one step back. When you say family business, this is Zenith Computers. So you come from the Zenith Computers family, where some portion of it was already screens. And so did that lend?
Monitors,
So there were monitors. There was a screen involved. You were making computers. Did that lend in some way to your understanding? I know that you don't do manufacturing in house.
So one of the opportunities we've had is to do manufacturing, but I always believe in learning from the best. So Apple, forget a factory, they can buy a country. Still, they get it made by Foxconn. So we convinced Foxconn to make TVs for us. So they make it for Sony and for us. I would say the CRT TV, the obviously picture quality, resolution is something people have been talking for a long time. But that was a very different technology where there's this whole thing of
Yeah.
radiation, don't be in front of the TV,
Yeah,
like don't in front of the monitor, chashma lag jayega.
Yes.
Whereas LEDs are like watching a painting, there's no
Yes.
imitation that's gonna spoil your eyes. So there's been a lot of, yes, I agree with you that there is one aspect to it, where people are looking at displays for information. The other thing, I will say that I think definitely learned from the Zenith days was the IT background. So we were the first ones to bring a lot of smartness onto the TVs, which we were able to do because we understood IT so well. So there were brands that came in from, say, cell phones onto TVs, or home appliances like fridge washing machines onto TVs. But we were able to nicely get.
But you've
the
only
IT
been
part.
a purely TV brand from beginning to end. So was there pressure saying washing machine banao?
Yeah, right.
Matlab, like,
One of the things that actually I look at very clearly is that I don't want to go below a certain price point. So below 10,000 rupees, I'm like, listen, the margins that you get at a 10,000
Yeah.
rupee product, I can probably buy you a coffee in that margin only.
Yeah, yeah.
So we don't want to get into anything that's not profitable. So we don't do anything sub 10,000. The second thing that we felt personally was also, unless you can really innovate in the category and bring something exciting, there's no point of being yet another player. So this is something that I learned when I was giving a speech in Istanbul at this conference, and the keynote speaker was Richard Branson. And he said, you know what, don't enter an industry where there's already someone who's doing a damn good job and you can't do a better job than them. So if we found an industry where like, oh my god, we can make a better smartphone than Apple, or we can do a better like watch than them or something, we'd enter. But why should we do something where we really don't bring the view advantage?
But okay, so here's the thing, right? So as an entrepreneur, when you're entering a particular industry, how do you decide whether you can be better than the guys who are already there or not? Because technically all entrepreneurs suffer from a certain level of overconfidence, which is why you do this to begin with. Like, of course I can beat that. But it has to also be sort of maybe a realistic assessment. How does one decide that, okay,
But
I
how
can
do you-
beat Samsung and LG and whoever else is in the market at the time?
Whether you can do a better job than them. I think one thing that's also very important, is you should genuinely yourself be excited about the product first.
Okay.
See, you can't sell a product or do a business if you're not excited about it. Very often I see entrepreneurs, they just go by the opportunity that they read in some industry report and say, oh my god, washing machine, 17% year-on-year growth rate, AC, 63% growth. Does that product excite you? Can you talk about it and think about it all day long? Do your customers love it?
You irritate your family members by talking about
But
nothing else.
exactly. If you don't love your product, you can't make other people love it. So we decided to do a lot of categories. Trust me, I had major opportunities. The likes of Flipkart, Amazon were like, listen, we give me a 200 crore order, like make ACs, make that. I'm like, listen, I have seen two guys get together and be like, bro, my TV has this feature, etc. I've never seen them do that for an AC.
Yeah.
So unless it's a category that excites you and you can bring something new to it, as you go along, there will be insights that will allow you to innovate. But if you're in a category that you're not passionate about, your customers are not so involved in, then I would say you just kind of go along with industry innovation. You don't have that insight to bring in something.
So, I mean, interestingly, you're talking about entrepreneurship. You rarely use the term startup to describe yourself, right? And now the whole startup industry is like this whole thing, right? And we've seen it ride a wave, and maybe that wave is starting to taper or to wane on one side. This idea of just like raking in very large numbers, acquiring market, not really looking at being, viable. Let's say. And so you're just going out and you're saying, I will spend all of this VC money and I will like gather as much market as I can, and we'll figure out how to make this viable on a later date.
Pre-revenue.
Yes, pre-revenue. Was there ever offers, temptations to why don't you raise funds and just expand?
One of the benefits of being a businesswoman is very hard to raise money.
I'm laughing because I know it's true.
People aren't throwing cash at you in business. Oh my god,
where is your male co-founder? Where? Who is the man who's handling your tech?
Yeah, and so what happens is, I think because people weren't throwing cash on us initially, we had to get very innovative and make the most of the money and the people that we have.
Yeah.
And by the time we earned enough money, we could tell people that, listen, okay, we don't
Nahi
need it.
chahiye.
I also feel there are multiple reasons to this. Is one, I've always believed that there are two currencies in business. One is money, of course. The second is time. What happens is when these investors and all come in, oh, customer acquisition at all costs, growth at all costs, they'll give you a lot of money. They won't give you time. 18-month cycle, we want to pre-revenue,
Yes.
we want this, we want that. And let me tell you, to build a good business, you have to have a damn good business model. It took me 8 years to go from 0 to 35 crores, convincing retailers, vendors, my own team, everyone, my own friends that, listen, there is a market in India for a high-end product like this. 8 years. But when the Jacob took off, we went from 35 crores to 965 crores in 4 years. So as a startup, what happens is you're always seen in contest with a lot of people in this
Yeah.
race against time to make money, as opposed to working on your own clock and saying, you know what, I'm going to do this at a pace that works for me, because I started the company as 24. I'm pretty sure by 26 I would not have had all the wisdom in the world, the way entrepreneurs think they will get. So it took that time to not be in this rat race of growing the business. The second thing which is very important is, today as a business owner or entrepreneur, there's three aspects to your business. There's growth, there's liquidity, and there's control. Now, if you want to get growth, very high growth, and need a lot of liquidity, you will lose control. And I knew what I was doing. So my bigger challenge was not so much of, oh, this is a gas guzzler business that requires crazy money, but more like, whoever I bring on, are they going to get my vision?
Yeah.
Are they going to let me do things the way I want to? Because it's very contrarian to how people have looked at the tech industry or TV or women in business or whatever they may be. So freedom also comes at that price, which I think I paid myself.
But through your stint, have you had lots of unsolicited advice from helpful gentlemen who say, "Arey madam, आपको rural करनी चाहिए, semi-urban करो, drop the price, do smaller TVs, you get the bottom of the pyramid," which you've decided clearly not to do.
My industry, most of my competitors, 60% of their business is 32-inch TVs. 66% of my business is 32-inch TVs. I'll tell you why. Because see, when it's your own business, you really care for profit.
Yeah.
This is a term suddenly people are remember in 2023. Of all the jargon you heard all these years, we suddenly hear people being like, "Arey, we want to make a profit this year." So when you're looking at profitability, you look at those opportunities of bottom of the pyramid. What are your actual costs? I mean, logistics in India is not cheap. The margins are very thin in these products. The marketing costs are crazy high. So the reason why we didn't get into that crazy price war of a 32-inch TV and exited it soon enough was we are very clear that, listen, any unit that I sell to you, is it profitable? If not, then don't do it, don't scale it. So I think keeping profitability as a yardstick as opposed to market share or growth rate or valuation has allowed us to be a very sensible, mindful company in that area.
Because you're not going from valuation to valuation, round to round, exit to exit, right? You're actually saying, what is my profit for this year?
Yeah. What am I taking home? Very simple.
Do you find that it's become easier to run a business in India? Has it become more difficult? Is it simpler?
I think ease of business is something that definitely with a lot of digitization has become easier in India. The second thing I find that in a way it's good and bad. I will say in the earlier, being a woman in business or doing a high-end product or doing e-commerce was considered an anomaly. So there's a lot of push in trying to convince people who you are and what you're doing. But you'd be the only one. Now it's the opposite issue. You come up with something, we launched a 6 lakh rupee TV and people are like, yeah, it's a good price. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like few years ago, you gave me a hard time for a 25,000 rupee TV. So market has opened up, minds have opened up.
Yeah.
But then the risk of that, like maybe the US or Europe, is you have too many people coming in. So this, what the environment was few years ago, where you had a very strict and strong first mover advantage for a long time. Nowadays, you don't have that kind of longevity. I don't think I would have been able to have that kind of organic growth that I did had I started my company today.
Interestingly, I was reading some reports before we sat down about how a lot of the products in the Indian market today are seeing substantial growth in the luxury sector,
Yeah.
but not so much at the bottom of the pyramid. So automobiles, for example,
Yeah.
right? It's the luxury sector is doing really well, but that first entry level car is not selling because of various reasons. But is that something like you happen to have prepared for this now for so long, and now you're sitting on top of that moment? That moment,
it all comes together. Yeah.
But tell me what that's like when you're sitting with your team and you're designing stuff together. I know you did a 100-inch TV, which you priced at 20 lakh rupees. And did people in your team say, "Are you kidding me? Where do you think who has the wall for that sort of thing?"
And more than who has the wallet.
Who has the wall and the wallet, right? So what was that like? What was when you're designing your next outrageous thing?
Yeah. Do I have an outrageous team? When I actually started View, the first thing that I did is I set up what's called an NPD, New Product Development Lab. And so I went to MIT Media Lab, I went to Intel's Innovation Lab, I went to Apple's Lab IDEO, and said, let us understand how new product development is done, which is different from R&D. Because R&D is more scientific thinking. NPD is more design thinking, more human factors approach.
Yeah.
So what I did is I set up this team whose job it is to work with multidisciplinary, like, you're working with people in design, working with people who are giving you sociological insights, working with people who are giving you high tech, and bringing it together, and then giving them a pipeline that, okay, like, over the next few years, this is what we want to do, start tinkering around and we'll see how it comes in. So what happens for us at View is we have this lab full of products each time that as the opportunity comes, we're able to bring it to market. Something like what we launched, the 98-inch had been in the lab for about 1.5 years before we said, okay, this is a perfect time, now bring it. And I think the kind of people you need to hire there are the ones who are futurists in their own aspect, I think that's very important that you have people who are genuinely excited. 3 things, very excited about newer and better and cooler things. The second thing is people with a lot of pride in the brand. I think that's missing a lot in a lot of Indian companies where somehow, or Indian owned companies, where somehow they always have this mindset that anything foreign is better or we are second to someone. I don't think anyone in the View team who's been with me for a long time has ever had this mindset that we are lower and lesser than anybody. In fact, sometimes you'll not believe, a customer or someone may say something and my team gets all like protective of the brand and the company, and I have to be like, it's okay guys, it's just a personal opinion, let it be. How can they say that? So brand pride is very important when you want to be innovative. The third thing is also you have to work with people who trust you as a boss. That's, I think, something in the beginning, people are like, even my own friends and family, like, exactly what is she up to? And then when it's successful, everybody's like, ha, humne to bola hi tha, it would work.
तो मतलब शुरुआत से बहुत smart थी.
So I would say I'm very fortunate that way, the people who work for me, like, they know it's a bit chaotic, but they kind of understand that, as an entrepreneur, like a film director, you're talking to the art director, the actor, the cinematographer, line producer or something. But you in your head have this vision to bring it together. So my team knows that all of them play a part and they're all working on something that one day will come together. So when you have a team that trusts you and you know that these guys genuinely put their faith on you, then you can make this magic happen when you're not driven by what competition is doing. But genuinely like, this is our vision, let's try this out.
Was there a moment of doubt along the way where you thought, oh, we're not going to make it, or?
Sun Tzu once said, because when I studied leadership in business school, Sun Tzu once said that in war, you should never close your enemy's gates. Close your own gates. If there is no going back for your warriors, they'll only go forward. Now, I learned one thing about myself when I was very young, that I'm going to be the world's worst employee.
Okay.
I genuinely don't have the patience to put my career growth in someone else's hand, or rather, sit back while my boss is
Yeah.
fumbling things up and just be like, oh, let them do it. I think I'm someone who really likes to take the risk and be out there. So I always knew that, listen, I do not have that much of a fallback of leaving this and being a professional.
Yeah.
The only job that I can actually have is to be a boss. So even if sometimes business we take it slow, economy is bad, or supply chain's a problem, or financial or marketing, whatever, blah blah blah, we'll go a little bit slower, but we'll not stop. So I knew that all these years there was no fallback, there was no plan B, there was no alternative. For most women I know, it's the plan B is to become a trophy wife, which clearly I didn't want to be. So then what will I do?
Yeah.
Be this boss no matter what. And yeah, there are times when you're like, where is this going? You don't have to shut it. You can just slow it down a bit. Like get your foot off the pedal.
What is your advice? I mean, specifically for women, but also for young guys out there who are considering the idea of entrepreneurship, which is to just go out on your own and effectively bet on yourself. And there'll be enough people who say, why would you take this risk?
Yeah.
You have such a good job. Why can't you just stay with this job? It's paying you so well.
Yeah.
What would you say to that?
I think the biggest thing to understand about entrepreneurship, which is very basic, that do you want to earn from salary or do you want to earn from profit? What happens is a lot of people today, especially startups, they still have very heavy compensation packages. So then they're not financially thinking that, listen, my bread and butter is going to come out of the margin and business and profit that I make. They still think that I'm in the service of this business and this is the salary that I get and maybe a performance bonus. But even if you go today to a basic entrepreneur in India, which is a panwala and banya, he understands he has no salary. How much material I sell and the margin that I make, that's my earning. So I would say that the most basic, if you say that, look, I'm confident enough that whatever money the business makes, out of that I take a dividend or whatever kind of payout you want, and that is my financial stability, that's okay. If you say, nay, I want a big business but I also want this cushy salary, I don't think then you have faith in yourself to be an entrepreneur, no matter what size your business may be.
Yours is a business that is India born and raised. I have a mischievous question. Why does it say View, California?
Because when I started my company, actually my family's base has been between India and California in the tech industry since the 70s, and a lot of our partners who we work with, whether it's Intel to Google to Netflix, they're all based out of Silicon Valley. I myself studied in LA, so I've been doing back and forth between India and California for a long time. So when I started this lab that I was telling you about with Intel and Microsoft, etc., initially the company was registered and was going to operate out of California, and I still have my office out there. The company is still registered out there. But two things I realized is, one, the talent is the same. It's Indians here and Indians there. Right? Maybe they're a bit more disciplined or something. I don't know what it may be. I find here they are really loyal, if not as disciplined as they may be in the US, but they do bring great factors. So I said the talent is the same. Why do I need to hire Indians in the US? I might as well hire Indians in India and pay taxes here and add to the economy here. Then use the same mindset. The second thing also personally, I think for me, I think this is a very gender specific thing sometimes. I think for women who especially come from a background where finance is not the first reason that they work, is a sense of purpose. And what I felt is when I'm in the US and I am living there and I have a business there, I'm working towards what? My next car, my next yacht, my next, I don't know, fancy apartment or whatever. But in India when I'm working towards adding employment, I'm working towards adding to the economy, I'm working towards changing roles for women in business or overall, etc. So that sense of purpose really I felt came out of being in India for me. In the US I felt if I'm there, of course it will be very financially successful, but I just didn't get that satisfaction deep in my heart that I've contributed, I've made a legacy, I've done something to change someone's life. I think that if you're not in India, you'll never feel it.
There's also a deeper sort of relationship with employees or with team members, right?
Yeah.
When you work out of India, somehow it becomes a second family.
It does. You know, the other day when we were working on this product, in the past 2 weeks, I've been working till midnight every day because launches generally are very hectic. And I'll tell you this, I think it was last Friday or Saturday, I was in the office and my team noticed that about 6 p.m. I hadn't had lunch. So I was just busy with the Amazon guys, etc. I went out to take a call and I came back and I saw they'd come and put a protein bar on my desk. And ma'am has not eaten. I can guarantee you that for all the money in the world, this is something you'll see in India. That genuine love and care that people have in India. It's a very heart-oriented country, which is what makes me drive to build a business here. And you know, why these things really matter to me personally is because again, like I feel a lot of businesses abroad are very transactional. In India, as a boss, you know, you everywhere read employee welfare, taking care of employees, etc. But I think it's also important for employees to take care of their boss. And here I find that people have this attitude that, you know, you take care of us and we will take care of you. It's not just some kind of HR promotion of employee welfare. That family unit does include you. And I personally feel that these are the small things that really touch my heart.
You also have, from what I understand, a completely debt-free company.
Yes.
How? How in this day and age? Does it limit you from growing, that you're not borrowing and you're not raising? And how are you working around that?
So what happens is, the way we work in our business is the profit that we make in any case we use as a reserve. And then we have an inventory cycle a couple of times a year where we can use the credit lines and the cash flow that we have to get the next level of product. We don't need to get outside in cash for our working capital unless we're going to invest that in retail or manufacturing or something that's a high level growth. Personally, I'm not sure about, I did this class at Harvard Business School where they said some debt gives you discipline, but I think the whole seeing how many good companies, you know, in case of taking crazy heavy debt and leveraging, you know, generations of work got wiped out. Reading the newspapers and watching Business Channel, I saw debt as death. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to have this no debt, no lending policy and see how much I can grow the business, but I can manage it and measure it. And somehow in the race for profitability, and the ability to plan our finances well, we didn't find the need to raise money. And now suddenly people are like, oh my God, like how are you debt free? That's a unique thing. But it's definitely by design.
So to be 100% owner, which means you've not diluted at all.
No.
And you've not raised any debt at all.
No.
So you are really in a really unique position at this point, aren't you?
I'm actually in a unique position, and I think I'm in an even more unique position in 2023 because back in 2022, this is not something people valued. Being profitable, being debt-free, high margins, good control. People never valued all of that in India. It was all about like unicorns and valuation and all of that. This year, people are like, no, at the end of the day, you're doing a business to make a profit.
True.
You know, and raising money is not a sign of success. Making money is a sign of success.
Consistently making money.
And consistently making money.
So, and are you planning on going public? Is there an IPO in the charts, or I will not raise? Will that just continue?
I'm not sure, because the problem that I find with the IPO markets, I'll be very honest with you, 2 or 3 is that your business trajectory and the IPO markets kind of have to be going in this very
you have to time
parallel trajectory, you know, which is very hard to time. So unfortunately, sometimes I find companies, it just becomes a question of luck where the market was hot and your IPO did well, and sometimes it gets undersubscribed because just the market or some external factor.
Yeah, it's like being exposed to the weather, right? It's suddenly a portion of it is not in your control anymore.
The second thing which I find, which is a little scary these days in my opinion from the IPO perspective, see, mine's a consumer facing product.
Yes.
Right? And I find that nowadays, and this I've seen for a lot of my friends who are founders of companies that are an IPO, when they're communicating to customers, there'll be like one shareholder whose stock price dropped that day, and then they go all over the internet and write all kinds of stuff. So unlike earlier where even the shareholders were very well managed, and of course making sure both sides that there's enough regulations and enough management. It seems a bit messy to me today. I feel what is happening is people see something on Twitter and they make business decisions because their shareholders were unhappy. So I definitely don't want to steer my business in the wrong decision, in the wrong direction, just because today people on Twitter got upset because the price went down, so I'm like forced to announce something that I didn't want to. So my concern with an IPO is not only the market volatility, but the customer sentiment volatility that should not be affected. Your business should not get affected by what people are talking of your stock price per se, because the stock price is dependent on so many factors that makes it go up and down.
Right. But talking about customers, of course, you're a customer facing product. Is there a different sort of sensitivity you can bring to your customers, to customer service, to after sales service, from being an Indian brand competing with the global brands?
Yeah, I think one thing that people have always looked at abroad is too much automation and outsourcing, because they think customer service is something that they can handle without people. Whereas in a country like India, we've noticed that people they want the digitization of customer support, but they like having knowing that the company is there and the people there. So we're actually the only company in the entire industry who has a in-house ISO 9001 certified customer service support. And within that, there are two things that we did out of it. One is that we could tailor it to the customer in India. So we speak different languages. Secondly, if you come home and you want to turn on, say, Netflix, and there's an issue with your connection, you can WhatsApp or call my team at midnight and somebody will answer you. So there's a lot of personalization that we did for the Indian customer, that within 24 hours we do all service. If you write a bad review or you have a problem online, we will find it and sort it. So many customers reach out to me. So for sure, we make sure that the service part is very personally and well handled. The second thing people don't realize in service is a goldmine for data. Today what happens is when you're launching a TV, there's so many features. People may like and love and use certain features, and some just they don't love it.
Yeah.
My customer service team then works closely to see, hey, what features are you using? What are you liking? What are you loving? What do you want us to do more of? What do you want us to change? And that goes back to my R&D that allows me to bring it in. So I know sometimes it made sense for a lot of people to outsource their customer support, but even our customer support, we do really well because our failure rates are much lower. So it's not a dent on the balance sheet. It covers its costs. In fact, it's a revenue area for us. And I personally think it's very important today, especially as a high-end brand, to own your customers. If there's anything else that you don't own, at least own your customers.
Because you can actually walk up to your customer service person, have a conversation saying, so who did you speak to today and what did they want from, what were the questions that people are asking? And you actually have that data, you have these people, you have access to all of that. We know it's tough for women to do business in anywhere. But I want to understand from you what you see as the advantages of being a woman in business. Things that perhaps other people have not realized.
One of the things that I find these days, honestly, is, we look at the content online and we see when it comes to business women, a lot of the content is around struggle. And I really feel that women across the board, not just in business, women in politics or in entertainment or in media, whichever industry, women have struggle and challenges. It's not like only the ones in the corporate world have a challenge. There's struggle everywhere. But the struggle should not demotivate. What happens in trying to make this struggle story into this tearjerker, I see that a lot of young women get very demotivated when they read this story and they go like, oh my God, she went through all these challenges and her mother-in-law said this and then said leave your crown in the garage and all that stuff. I never want to do all of that. I'm CEO, I'll wear a crown and take a shower if I feel like it, right? I'll start it with as many stones as I want that I paid for myself. So I say that it's important for women to know what are the benefits of being a businesswoman. Of course, there's money. Money brings you a lot of things. If you come from money already and finances are not your primary reason for being an entrepreneur, I think a very important aspect is respect and power. I genuinely found in India, growing up, even in an affluent family that, when my mother or my grandmother would be in the house, the servants would like continue doing whatever, chopping vegetables or something. But when my father or grandfather would come, they'd all stand, no matter what they're doing. And even as a small kid, I used to be like, why is it that they command that kind of respect in the house and the ladies don't? And I realized that in India, that women have always been in this very supporting role. They've always been the wind beneath the wings because of the environment that it is. But the men get the respect and power because they're going out there in the world, they're the ones bringing money home, they probably have more exposure, etc. So as a small kid, my grand desire was that when I go somewhere, people should stand.
Okay.
I want to be the Saab, I want to be the boss, and let me taste that power and respect. Let me have someone make sure that they never speak to me in the way they generally mansplain to women or something. And so I got inspired by the Indian Devis, because Lakshmi, Saraswati, Durga, they actually hold the portfolios of finance, defense and education. And I said, why don't we bring power back to women? Why aren't we the ones who are respected? And so my whole desire personally to be an entrepreneur is to have that respect and power, which today I can confidently say I have. I can buy what I want, I can go where I want, I can say what I want, people treat me like an important person. So it's a very arduous struggle is there for sure, for everyone and women in business. It's very worth it at the end of it.
You did, of course, and this I must acknowledge, you've always openly acknowledged that you come from privilege and that you come from a family that could, where money was not a factor in the decisions you were making. But for those women for whom money is a factor, then it becomes a double whammy of a decision, right? Because then it's a financial decision, plus it is about respect and being taken seriously. And I've met a few young women who've come up to me saying, you know what, we talk to vendors and they just don't take us seriously. Just like, how can it be? You're so young, you're a woman, how can you be running a business? What is your advice for them?
You know what, honestly, I wouldn't say that money is not my priority. Because what happens is there's a difference between having money and having the freedom to spend that money. For a lot of women who've grown up in affluent families, it's not like they're sitting with control of the cash. It's this mindset, ना पूछो तुमको क्या चाहिए, हम थे ना बोलेंगे, हम दे देंगे. Financial freedom is having 10 rupees that you can spend on your own will.
Which is yours,
Which is yours, and not 10,000 crore in your family big account or something. So I will not say that finances are not important to me. That's very much a driving factor for me and the business. I wouldn't say that was the need that I had to support someone, and so the decision came that way. So I will not say that money is not important at any stage. I don't know why women often feel that, money is not important. Why not? Money brings in power, and that everything else, go for it. But in terms of the vendor part, look, there's a double-sided sort of to this whole story, the two edges of what's good and bad about it. When I started out, a lot of people would tell my salesmen, and this is literally the sales guys who are with me still today, and they're like, देखो आपका product अच्छा है, brand अच्छा है, features भी customers को जमता है, मगर आपकी boss है तो मारवाड़ी, उनका शादी हो जाएगा, जब company बंद हो जाएगा हमको spare parts नहीं मिलेगा. And this was unanimously across the country. So the more I'd go for a sales call, the more I'd hurt my business, because I didn't look to them as someone who would be solidly in this. Now, I have two ways. If I really want to do that business and I really want to convince that person that no, take a chance on me, like buy 2 TVs but try it out. Or do I want to say this person genuinely does not have any respect for women? I choose not to deal with this person. Let him also learn the loss of not dealing in a woman's business, which a lot of people have lost out in not stocking our product. If that person is doing business with you, value them, cherish them, your team, your dealers, your partners, your vendors, whoever. Grow with them, show them that loyalty back, because the best thing is, your competitors anyways as an entrepreneur, woman in business, are underestimating you. People always, used to call it a boutique brand, cute, niche brand, we can make some 800 crore business, and they're like, oh my god, we got to take these guys seriously. So you will find within this entire Indian trade system or even the hiring system that there are people who in the beginning may never have dealt with the women, but they are open minded and they will become your champions and you have to show the loyalty back. And there are some people who you just want to feed to your competitors and say, you know what, honestly, it's your loss. So you have choices. It's a big country. You don't have to do business with people you don't like. I have a very simple formula, and I should not say this on a public platform, but I have a very simple formula in business. Don't do business with assholes. Don't hire them.
Yeah.
Don't work with them. Don't trade with them. Find people who are open-minded, who will be there and work with them long term. It is a real challenge for sure, though. The perception that they have, like, acha, as you said, no. Inke saath kaun aaya hai?
Like I get asked, like, who's your tech co-founder? Who's handling the finances in the business? You know, so always that's code for where's the man?
Where's the man? Yeah.
Where's the man? Yeah. So
Yeah, I know. I think thankfully things have changed. Hopefully in the past few years.
No.
Wait, no, really?
No, they have not. I mean, I think that in larger corporate setups now things have changed because there are more women breaking those glass ceilings.
Yeah.
But I think the startup space still requires some shaking up.
I think the biggest challenge is the trade. You know, those guys are like really conservative. You know, and sometimes you have to also see from their perspective. They never shaken hands with a woman before. They never dealt with a woman before. So sometimes it's because you may be the first woman they deal with. And sometimes it's just because they're misogynist. And you need to have a good radar to know.
To be able to tell.
To be able
No,
to tell.
I understand that, you know, a lot of discounting needs to be done when we look culturally at where we've all come from.
Yeah.
You know, how each family is raised, what people are taught from the time they are this high, and that influences the adults they become. But yeah, sometimes it's just annoying.
It's like the photo is there of Lakshmi in the office.
Yes.
But there is no ladies in the office.
Yes. As long as she's in the photo.
As long as she's not
She's in the photo. Yeah, so you've now, you're launching the largest television that will be sold on Amazon,
Yeah,
India.
yeah.
Tell us about it.
I'm really excited because, you know, we've been doing and betting on this large size television market for a long time. And last year we launched this entire range called the Masterpiece TV, which is View's high-end range of TVs.
Yeah.
Which is a QLED TV, and the biggest of which is an 85-inch. And they did stupendously well across the different across various distribution, but especially well on Amazon. Because we were like, listen, first of all, few years back it would be like, who's going to buy a TV online?
Yeah.
And now people are buying like 2 lakh, 3 lakh rupees TV online.
So we have someone from Amazon here, right? Who
Yes.
will join us? Should we bring him in? Where is he? Yeah, it's okay. So while we keep the cameras
what
rolling.
you can do is you want to finish, then you can take him.
No, it's okay. We'll add him to the conversation while the cameras are rolling, and you and
Yeah.
I can continue talking. It's the internet. You guys are rolling? Yeah. Okay. So you launched a television that was 100 inches for 20 lakh rupees.
Yeah.
And you sold those?
Yeah. We did them as a limited edition of 100 pieces, and we sold every single one of them.
People spent 20 lakh rupees on a screen. That's outstanding.
You know, I think it's also because people in India have a very close connection with video content. We love our movies, we love our sports, we love our news. So anything that shows their favorite stars or sports persons and all in a big screen, it's not something that Indians don't want. The prices have gone, of course, fluctuated, where now a 98 inches at 6 lakhs.
Yeah.
But I don't think you have to sell the concept of a very big TV to Indians.
Come, have a seat. Yes, we are rolling. So, Ranjit Babu is the head of televisions on Amazon India, correct?
Yes. I
Welcome.
also look at a bunch of other categories, but televisions is the big bet.
So we were just talking about this big screen experience, right? And I know that you guys have just finished Prime Day.
Yes.
So you have insights that you can share with us, because we're talking right now. We have screens everywhere, like we were saying. So there's the little screen on which I, watch shorter content, I'm assuming, and then there's the screen, and then there is the screen that you guys are now selling. Tell us what people are using different screens for. What is that experience like? What numbers are you looking at?
So Devita is the expert, but I'll give you a sense of what we're seeing on Amazon. So I think the pandemic is where it all started, where folks were looking at larger screen sizes because they wanted a better entertainment experience at home. Since then, it's been an upward trend where people just keep buying larger screen sizes. They're looking for better resolution televisions. They just want a better experience at home. She keeps talking about how folks want to bring the theatre home, and that hypothesis is kind of proved by the numbers that we see. Prime Day that just completed, 30% of all televisions we sold were larger than 55 inches, which is, to give you a perspective, it's doubled year on year. It was much smaller last year around the same time. And this industry is dominated by the entry segment of about 32 inches. So that shift from 32 to 55 is happening very fast in India. Whole bunch of reasons driving that. Content consumption being one of them, access being the other. We'll talk about that as we go forward, but those are the interesting insights.
So you're saying effectively people used to start looking at televisions 32 inches upwards. Now they're looking at 55 inches upwards.
Now they're looking at smart televisions, they're looking at 55 inches, they're looking at better screen resolutions like a QLED TV. That really is the trend.
I know that you're thinking about this a lot from the experience of what people are watching, whether they're watching it, whether the TV is in their bedrooms, whether the TV is in the living room. What is your customer service telling you? How are things changing?
So a couple of things have changed. One is people don't love going to the movie theatre anymore.
Okay.
You know, that's been a big shift, I think, since COVID days, and hasn't returned as much where people are thronging to movie theatres. For multiple reasons is one, of course, movie theatre experience is much more expensive and TVs are much more affordable. Second is people are watching a lot more OTT content. So it's not about this once in a while going to watch a movie theatre. It's more like every day I want to come home and binge watch my favorite shows as a very ultimate relaxation. So there's a lot more consumption of televisions on a daily basis that's happening, and a lot of it is really good international high quality content which is shot in the same cameras and all, which is for these big 70mm screens. So what's happening is, then people are having that expectation.
You're saying the whole OTT content introduction to India has changed behavior.
Has changed behavior, and now people are watching OTT content at home much more, and the picture quality, production quality of these OTT shows are as good as a cinema.
Yes.
But what happens is very often your TV doesn't play it. So people want that, listen, I want a TV that has the same picture quality, the same sound quality, the same kind of refresh rate or whatever features they may be, the same size, that I get in the movie theatre, at home, on my TV.
So tell us about this, the biggest screen TV that you're now launching, priced at 6 lakh rupees. In your mind, what is the audience? So what is the size of the market for that in India?
So the whole OTT consumption thing is colliding with something else that's happening. Silent but kind of revolutionary, which is the fact that anyone, anywhere in India today can get access to this 98-inch TV. With e-commerce and Amazon's TV store, for example, coming in, someone in a small town in India who earlier would never have access to a large screen TV, today can go online, make an informed purchase decision by looking at videos, reading content, reading reviews from folks who purchased that product, and then also access it a lot more easily with things like no-cost EMIs, financing offline, and then get it delivered in a day or two and have it installed by either Amazon or the brand is a massive leap forward. And why do I say that? Because TV stores inherently have a physical constraint of space.
Right.
Imagine keeping a 98-inch television on display in a store. You really can't display any other television after that. E-commerce changes that. So if you go to the Amazon store today, anyone, anywhere in India can get access to over 500 SKUs of TVs across screen sizes. We spoke of 32, there's 43, there's 55, there's 65, there's 75, and then there is 4K, then there's OLED, then there's QLED. There's so much that you can now get access to. So this access really is opening up a lot more customers to televisions and large screen sizes.
So you're saying that in India there will be people, or you're confident that rural and semi-urban India, there will be people who will buy a 98-inch television for 6 lakh rupees without seeing it physically even once.
Yeah. We've sold televisions at prices higher than that in tier 2 cities in India. So there is demand in the market. It's so much more easier to buy a TV today. It's not just the price.
Right.
Spoke about some of those things like no cost EMIs, etc. Right? It just makes it so much more easier for you to buy. Earlier, it was difficult. You didn't even know that such a television existed.
Right.
That's changing.
And it's also because that, you know, the review information that's available on YouTube is in multiple languages at this point. It's accessible.
So there's media, there's influencers, there's stuff on the Amazon detail page. There are videos that Devita's team puts up to educate customers. You read ratings and reviews. Making that informed purchase decision in a store in any part of India is so much more easier. Earlier, you would rely on a promoter in a store to talk to you. You would be in the largest stores in the country. You don't really know if they're giving you the right information. This is just so transparent and interactive and available.
Yeah, and I think what has happened is if you see the car industry, they have been, the auto industry has been posting fantastic growth and numbers in smaller towns where people's income has increased, discretionary spending has increased. And I think what has also happened is they've seen the lifestyle because of the internet and knowing what products are available and shipped to them. It's not like their lifestyles or their knowledge of products is any less than us in cities. In fact, I'll definitely say they have the space and the time to enjoy it also. So we're very confident that a lot of the numbers that we've done is actually in much smaller places, much smaller than what you would even consider smaller. And that numbers and business 100% is growing.
And this is interesting for me, you know, having just studied the journey of your company, which was very showroom based, and then you had your own little, you know, you set up your own e-commerce to sort of directly communicate with your customers, to be able to deliver to a home in rural India.
Yeah, actually we were the first ones to start television in a big way on e-commerce, like in 2014 as an experiment. Because what had happened that time, and this is to, you know, the story that we were talking about earlier, that for me as a brand owner to go to traditional retail, they were very close-minded to, you know, a new entrant coming in.
Yeah.
They wanted the traditional way of doing business with players who had been there for a long time, all kinds of kickbacks, etc. and limited geographical reach. And so we really struggled to say that, look, I want a younger customer. I want a high-end educated customer, and I want people everywhere I can possibly go, because I really can't send my salesperson to every corner of the country. And so when we met with Amazon, I mean, Ranjit and I must have had our first meeting like, I don't know, 10 years ago or something. Yeah. It was like we had similar mindset. Listen, this is new, this is changing industries. We have this early adopter innovator customer, which will soon get to a late adopter customer. But we want to go with people who care for the education of the product, who don't just go by some shiny looking product promoted by some film star, who actually goes through specifications and compares and reads and understands and educates himself and buys. And the fact that both of us had the same insights on customers actually became a very strong partnership to grow. It amazes me how much people spend time actually reading these reviews and ratings and trust that today more than any kind of word of mouth.
And that's worked so well, right? Because you seeded that thing among customers so early on, they've always led the curve. When smart TVs were just a fad or people were just wondering what this is all about, they were there. So we was known as a brand that was getting smart televisions out there. Then we started having this thing of large screen sizes. They were there. Then they said, hey, let's look at this new technology called QLED. They were there. Now we're talking about the larger, very large screen sizes and ultra premium and luxury. They're there. So I think it's worked very well as a partnership and as an engagement with you.
We keep telling them, like, come to our office, let us show us let me show you what's new.
Yeah, that's why I make my way to their office.
All right, I want to wish both of you very good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you both.
Thank you, Faye.
Thank you.
Thank you.